So how to buy apartments in the next 90 days? 90 days. Let me ask you this question. Who remembers 2008? Was anybody around in that moment and sitting right in the heart of it and dealing with all of that at that time? So in 2008, right, the financial crisis that happened, I was working with my dad's companies. Prior to that, I actually came out of college and I was in the title insurance business. I was a title rep. I kind of get my feet wet, and rather than going and asking for a job from somebody, I kind of wanted to make it on my own and kind of be a man and make sure that I could do it on my own first before I went and started, getting into the family business and doing stuff like that. Because my dad was a developer builder. He was a transitional character, I would say, in our family. And I kind of grew up in the real estate space a bit, learning from my grandmother. And then that passed along to my father, and then passed along to my brother and our siblings and everybody. But my dad was like the first person in the family that ever made it. And he'd gone through 3 other cycles leading up to the financial crisis. But the financial crisis, as many here kind of depicted in then, was pretty wild, and everybody lost a lot of things. And my dad pretty much lost it too. So, there were stories written about it, news articles written about it. That's a picture of my dad there. There's young Justin. That's young Justin doing a little hand high five with him. But yeah, there's things written about it. It's a pretty wild time, but you learn a lot. I always say in moments of suffering, greatness is born. In moments of suffering, greatness is born. You're even seeing that with the LA fires, right? With all the chaos and just the destruction and the horrible nature. And the suffering that's going on, there's greatness happening too that's going to come out of it, even though it seems like it's not possible, but it will, and it is. So love that. But that's kind of what happened. And then in 2009, we had formatted our company, our capital company / investment company, because I knew we had to buy properties, right? I didn't have any money at that time, right? I was getting my butt kicked. I was in real estate. And I was helping my dad consolidate things. I mean, it was crazy. I just didn't have any money, but I knew we had to buy. So I had the knowledge, though. I always say you need the check equity or the sweat equity, right? You need to bring the sweat or the check, right? Capital or the knowledge, the ability to execute, the ability to take things down. So I had that. I had the ability to go find deals, analyze them, put them together, raise the capital, close the escrows, manage them. I could do all of that. I was very good at that. I had that knowledge. So I was very valuable to somebody who had money. And so I thought to myself, who do I know that's probably not getting affected right now at the rate I am, that I could go to and help us get started, right? I'll do all the work, they provide the capital, and away we go. You see how that works? Because I didn't have any money at that time. So literally in 2010, we bought our first deal. And that was a condo, one condo for $100,000. It was in Murrieta, California. And we put $25,000 down. That came from my partner. Signed on a loan with Wells Fargo, came from my partner. But I found the deal. I analyzed it. I put it together. I closed the escrow, raised any capital, set it all up, and then managed that thing post escrow. And away we went. And we did great with it, right? But that spearheaded us into what we did later, and that is got into duplexes, quads, triplexes, all that. Now, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would have never started with that stuff. Knowing what I know now, I would have never started with that stuff. I literally may have done a duplex or tri or quad, maybe, and then went straight to what we ended up getting into, and that is 10 to 30 unit apartments to start. Because that is like the perfect space to get started if you're newer to this, because you're dealing with more mom and pop brokers, mom and pop sellers. They expect you to be more of a novice. The capital side of it's smaller. Lenders and all that kind of expect you to be more new and novice, so you're not really expecting you to be some special expert in the space. And you can actually go in and execute, and you can do it mostly with you running the show, and then you bring in other people's money, the OPM game, right? So you can bring in limited capital from you, and you control the deal, and you own it and run it, and then other people come in, or seller financing, creative financing can come in to fill the gap on the money. And I'm going to show you that here tonight. So one condo, 2010, by 2018, we had about 20 units, about $3.5 million of assets. And that's where we were. And we thought we'd made it. Like we really did. We're like, dude, we're cool, man. We got mostly with our own money. We own 20 plus units, $3.5, $4 million in assets. Just pay it all off and we'll have a nice day, right? But we wanted more. We're running out of capital. So that kind of started this informational game for me of learning what is OPM, what is other people's money, how do you leverage capital, how does the money game really work, how does this capitalistic society game even work? Because I thought I knew it, but I really didn't know it. And I'm going to show you that here tonight. Okay. So 2018, to kind of show you how powerful this scaling game can work for anybody. 2018, 20 units, $3.5 million of assets. Great, we're awesome. Fast forward to today, call it 2024, now 2025. 685 units, about $180 million in assets, of which we own 40% of. So we own nearly 100% of $3.5 million, or 40% of $180 million. You do the math, okay? And we didn't take on any more capital to do that. We took the capital from our 20 units, refinanced them, and put them into the other things. I mean, that's all we did. And then we were able to scale the money, but using OPM, because people want to invest in real estate. That's not your problem. You just have to find a good enough deal, they'll invest alongside you. And we'll talk about that, okay? So, question for you. Do you know what a BHAG is? Big, hairy ass goal. Dan, pretty close. Pretty close. You can call it that. I like that. That's a little bit better. It's big, hairy, audacious goal. Big, hairy, audacious goal. There you go. Ray's got it. Ray's got it. Big, hairy, audacious goal. So yeah, our BHAG right now is 10,000 units and $1 billion in real estate. So we have just under 1,000 units currently. But you get to that point, right? You grow and you scale, and as you even getting to the 1,000 units we're at now, right? That takes partnerships. It takes co-partnerships, because you typically aren't writing a check for $20 million on a $30 million asset. It just doesn't happen. But by collectively coming together with other people, other investors, that's how the game is done. That's how you scale money, right? That's the game of money. So very, very, very important for that. Then Mo said, I already knew, but you did say at the last webinar I attended of yours. Yes, you need to remember this stuff. Come on, Mo. Just kidding. Love it. Okay, so that's ours. So single family versus multifamily, because this is the difference between them, right? And I'm not going to go through the list of all of them. You can kind of read through them. But single family is very transactional. You're only paid maybe 1 to 2 different ways. Short term on the taxes, which is everything. It's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. How much money you make is great. How much money you keep is how you become wealthy. You can get rich with single family, but it's very hard to get wealthy with it, okay? So keep that in mind. You're always chasing the next deal. Lack of economies of scale, lack of generational wealth. It's harder to finance. And it's good, quick money, but that's about what it is, okay? Then you jump into the multifamily. Everybody talks about the monthly cash flow. What people don't understand, which I think is cool for you to realize, is that you get paid 5 to 8 ways in times when you own multifamily. Did you know that? Most people think, oh, I'm just going to get the passive income and I'm going to get the profits when we sell it. That's great. That's true. But you're missing on another 4 to 7 different ways that you get paid. And we're going to go through those. Okay. But it's very, very important you understand that, because that's the holy grail. That's why you do multifamily. It's because there's multiple ways to get paid. There's multiple ways you're going to get paid going through it. Okay. So long term on the taxes. Okay. As I said, it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep, and using it not only as a wealth generator, but also wealth preservation. Keeping and reducing your tax basis by owning the multifamily, doing what's called cost segregation and accelerated depreciation. And if you haven't heard of those terms, totally fine. You can go YouTube those tonight and there'll be 400 videos on it. Okay. But that's what we do. Mo says, I was sold on it until I attended your last webinar, which is why I'm on this webinar. So you were sold on it until you attended the last webinar? Or you weren't sold on it until the last webinar and then you saw it and now you're sold again? Probably, I think that's what you meant, but I appreciate that. Thank you. Economies of scale, generational wealth, and big money, right? Big money, big money. Okay. So I ask you this question. How would you feel if you owned a 10 to 30 unit apartment building in the next 90 days and you only put $30,000 out of pocket? I mean, seriously, I want you to like picture that transformation for you, regardless of the market you're in. Okay, whether you can buy for X, if it's an expensive market, cheap market, don't worry about that. But if you could own a 10 to 30 unit apartment building in the next 90 days with $30,000 out of pocket, what would that do for you in your life? I don't believe it. That's why I'm here. Beautiful, George. Well, I love skeptics, and I will show you, and then we will break it down any way, shape, or form. Okay, any way, shape, or form. Remember, it's never a lack of resources. It's always a lack of resourcefulness. It's never a lack of resources. It is always a lack of resourcefulness. 9 times out of 10, it's all in the cabeza. It's in the 7 inches between your ears. It's the 7 inches between your ears, because it's very easy to give yourself limiting beliefs. It's very easy to say, gosh, I just don't know if I can do that. I see everybody else doing it. I don't know if I can. No, you can. Trust me. I mean, I'll tell you this. When I got to a point when we had 20 units and I wanted to go bigger, I was mad, I was pissed, because I saw a lot of other people, friends, and people having a lot more success than we were having. And I didn't understand it, because I'm like, there's no reason we shouldn't be having that too, right? But I realized I was in my own head, and I was creating my own limiting beliefs. So I finally got to a point when you get mad enough, people make decisions, and everybody, you're going to make a decision on anything you do, even including decisions tonight, on pain or pleasure. Pain or pleasure. Most people will tell you pleasure, but 90% of people make the decision on pain, either to avoid it altogether or move away from it when it's already happening. But that is why people make decisions in life, is to avoid the pain. Okay, avoid the pain. So keep that in mind. Perfect. It would be life-changing. I love that. And how much per door, Darren? It depends. But usually the buildings that all of our mentees and people in the community, anywhere from 50,000 a unit to 150,000 a unit. That's the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot. Because what that means is you're able to scale your dollar, right? If you're in super expensive markets, meaning California, New York, and some of the Upper East or West Coast and stuff like that, coastal markets, you're spending 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 plus a door. Very difficult to scale your money, right? You need to stay in that 50 to 150,000 a unit, ideally, when you're starting. Then you can grow from there. Okay, great question. And Jack, it depends on where you have to manage or not. We always recommend third-party management. Always recommend third-party management. Now, granted, we can manage better than our managers, but there's also that time cost and opportunity cost of money. So you have to keep that in mind too. Darren, great question. Why would a tenant rather live in an apartment versus a house outside or rent? It's not necessarily that they prefer it. Everybody would love to rent a single family home. I shouldn't say everybody. Most people would love to rent a single family home if they were going to have to rent. The problem is they may not be able to afford it, number one. Number two, a lot of people don't want to deal with the maintenance. Plenty of people just want to lock and key it and be able to travel and do what they do and be able to have things taken care of. Maybe they live in a high-rise building or a mid-rise building where they have security and concierge service, and they don't want to deal with landscaping and maintenance and all that other crap. So everybody has different reasons. But I can tell you this, we're becoming more of a renter nation. More people are renting than owning, and it's going to get worse as costs go up. We're more becoming a European model, whereby more rentals are happening than actual for sales. Okay, and that's where we're headed. It's already happening, right? Home ownership's coming down slowly, and rentals are going up. So let me ask you this: has anybody ever done an identity audit? An identity audit. What are the 7 mountains that inspire and move you? Because these are the 7 mountains that move nations and inspire people, right? What really moves you? What inspires you? And I'm going to give you mine, but you should pick 3 or 4 of these. And the reason I'm having you do this is because money is a great motivator. It's a great way to get you going. But once you've made some of it, it's not going to keep you like really excited every day. Other things will. Let me give you a perfect example. I chatted with a lady today who I thought was incredible. Maybe she's even on here tonight. I don't know. But she wants to buy a farm, right, for her family and provide great organic foods for people around her because our food supply system is so crappy. In order to do that, her and her family, they had to make money in different ways, and they'd owned some rentals and done some things, but they really want to level up into the multifamily space. But that was what was exciting her every day, because you need that. And her husband is a pilot with private jets, which is incredible, but they want to level up and do the next stage. And in order to get there, you have to have a vehicle to help that happen, because it's a bigger picture. It's not about the multifamily or about the money per se. The money is simply a tool and a choice to get to where you want to go. So that's where this comes in. That's where these 7 mountains come in. Love it. And let me show you how, when I did my identity audit, how this works. And this is important for you tonight, because if you're kind of, here we are at the end of January, going into February, and if you want to make moves for yourself, okay, if you want to have a transformation this year in 2025, do yourself a favor. I just finished mine in December, but I rewrote it here this last week to update it as we kind of come in. A vision letter, okay? What that vision letter is a single page paper written in 3 paragraphs, talking about your future self in the personal, professional, health, wellness, and spirituality, those 3 paragraphs. And you're literally going to write that letter to your future self as though it's December 31st, 2025. And you're going to talk in the future tense, as though, let's talk about professional. It's been an amazing year. I've done X, Y, Z in income, be very specific. I've done this, and this in my work. I've done this, and this. I bought my first multifamily building. It's a 30-unit building in such and such city and state, right? I did it with other people's money and I made this happen. You literally write it to your future self in a vision letter in the future tense, and you read it to yourself every freaking day and watch what happens. It's some wild stuff. I read mine from last year in 2024. It's crazy how much I got to check off, and I was checking off. I was like, holy crap. Didn't get all of it, about 80%. But 80% is pretty good. So that's this exercise. That's why we're doing it, right? You didn't know this was going to be a Tony Robbins conference tonight, did you? But this is important. It's important because it's like, how are you going to make changes in your life? You're here tonight because you want to invest in real estate and multifamily, right? But it's just it's a tool, it's a mechanism to get you really to what you want, to really what your passions are. Right? It's a get out of the 9 to 5 so you can spend more time with family, travel more, have a little bit more free time, maybe a little bit, right? Maybe not work for the man, not be called into a cubicle job or a 9 to 5 every day. You know, maybe it's you are an entrepreneur. Maybe you're doing wholesaling and flipping right now and you want to level up. There's so many different reasons, bigger purposes behind it, okay? So I'll stop sharing that, close that out. And let me show you mine, how mine work. Because business is number one, right? You have to have a mechanism for getting money, because money is simply choices. So once I have a lot of choices, meaning a lot of money, now I can start to deploy that into the things I really have passion for, which is the media game, right? How can we help ourselves? And there's a purpose for it. How can we raise profile, okay, in the media space to then help and give back to others? So business number one, then it goes into the media game, then it goes into education. That's why we're here tonight. But it's not about like education per se. It's about creating a community, right? And in our case, creating a community of well-trained investors around the United States of America who are doing deals, multifamily, finding, analyzing, raising capital, putting things together, closing and managing deals, and collectively partnering and assisting around the country together and co-partnering on deals. I mean, I loved seeing what happened literally 2 weeks ago on one of our calls, where one of our students, Steve Parker, bought a 39-unit in Cleveland, Ohio. Okay, closed on it by himself, on his own, which was great. But he's also now looking for diversification, raising some capital. And we had a handful of people on the call wanting to invest in the deal and raise the capital and put it together. That's what it's all about. You get the point? That's what it's all about. And then family. Not so much my personal family, which is amazing, kids and family and all that, but also giving back, helping others. I mean, we give back to Tunnels to Towers, the Seal Future Foundation, helping children who are disadvantaged in bad neighborhoods, bad homes, don't have that role model, don't have the education, but how can they go from 0 to hero and make themselves better, right? Because that's usually what any kid needs that's in a bad spot and maybe in a bad environment, is they need a role model to help them believe. And they need education to know that it's possible, to know what is possible, what else is out there, and to be educated on that. So those are my passions. Like, that was my identity audit. So think about it in that sense for yourself. But typically the money is simply a vehicle and a tool to get there. Make sense? Government interference is a big issue in California. Yes, it is. So I live in San Diego, California, know it very, very well. Went to school up at Pepperdine. And so I know the Malibu, I know that whole PCH, the LA thing. And yes, you're absolutely 100% right. It's a major problem. So appreciate you sharing that. Thank you. Anything else before we move on here? I don't know. Does anybody know any of these faces on here other than mine? I don't know if you guys know Beardy Brennan, guy on the far left there. Cool guy, Bigger Pockets. If you ever follow biggerpockets.com, he was one of the founders of it. Went off and did his own stuff. Great guy. Obviously, Mr. Grant Cardone, Uncle G in the house. Yeah, you get to meet some amazing people when you get into the media space a bit, right? Raising profile. But Ryan Pineda, I mean, on and on and on, right? Upper right is apartment rockstar, right? Robert Martinez. Great guy, owns almost 5,000 apartment units. Guy's a legend, okay, in Texas. So really, really, really good people. So anyhow, purpose behind this is just to show you that you can meet some really cool people when you start to do this type of stuff, okay? Okay, let's get into the nitty gritty. These are the 5 pillars. I call it the Fast 5 method of owning apartments. And I don't care if you're buying a 2-unit or a 100-unit apartment building, they follow the exact same pattern, okay? So these are the 5 pillars. And this is what we teach on, what we focus on, because I know that if you can execute and we can handhold people through these ways, you're done. You're going to win. And that's when people have the success. I was chatting with Brian Tran, one of our mentees, and he just closed on a 22-unit in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And when he got done with the deal, because the first deal is always the hardest. It's always the hardest, okay? Don't let anybody sugarcoat you or blow smoke up your ass, okay? I mean, this is an incredible thing to get involved with because you can make a ton of money and you do very well for yourself, okay? But it is not easy. If it was, everybody would do it. But if you're handheld well and you know what you're doing, when he went through that deal and he texted us at the end of it, because he has my text message or my phone and email, and he says, Justin, I thought I was going to die like 5 times. I mean, going through that process, it was unbelievable. And I said, yeah, I know it was hard. And we helped guide you and hold your hand, but I understand how hard it was. But listen what you accomplished. I said, you just went through the gauntlet and it was the hardest one, but now you're through it. Now the next one, how much did you learn, Brian, that you're not going to do again? He's like, a ton. And he says, now we have a 22-unit. We're ready. We're rocking and rolling, and away we go. And we're super excited. And our next one's going to be 10x that, right? But you had to go through that. Nashville area, awesome. Yep, Nashville's great. Tennessee's great market. So we're in that market. We could probably help you out with that. Okay. So creating wealth in real estate. Simply put, let's look at this diagram. You take any asset, real estate asset. All you do is you borrow money against it. And that could be a loan and or equity. Could be a combination, but you pile that together, that's OPM, right? When people talk about other people's money, that includes lenders, that's OPM. That includes private financing, private lenders. That includes seller financing. It could be friends and family. It could be all the above. It could be our community that's investing capital in deals. OPM, other people's money other than yours, okay? Other than yours. Pennsylvania is a great market, by the way, Michael, great market. We have plenty of people in that market. For your first deal, don't the banks ask if you have any experience managing multifamily? Roger, no and yes. So that's why you don't go after a 50+ unit deal, right? There are people out there preaching this. Go big on your first deal. Try that. Go see how that works. Go try and pull down a 50-unit deal on your own with no experience and see how far you get. You will get nowhere because you're going to have a KP, key principal. You're going to have a resume and management experience. You're going to have to show you've actually entered and exit a deal like that to be able to pull it down. So you'll need a team of people to pull that deal down. And the chance of you doing that is just not that great. So that's why all the stuff we do is in the mom and pop space to get you started. 10 to 30 units, a lot more mom and pop, a lot more newbies, a lot more novice, mom and pop brokers, mom and pop lenders, mom and pop people, mom and pop sellers. So therefore, no, to answer your question, okay? Charlotte, North Carolina, beautiful. Every deal I find has red financial metrics, IRR, cash flow, cash on cash, various states, various pricers. Yeah, that's something to look at. Yeah, typically, you may have to look at 20 deals to find one that makes sense or more sometimes. It just depends on your market. So maybe you have to identify changing the markets depending on where you're at. But yeah, you borrow money against it, you get that property to cash flow. So it pays all the expenses, mortgage, taxes, everything on the property. And then every few years, you can refinance that property and then pull the cash out, which is tax-free, by the way. Anytime you refinance and pull cash out, it's tax-free money, right? Based on debt. It's good debt. You take that debt and you buy more assets, okay? You don't go buy TVs and Ferraris and Porsches. You go buy more assets that appreciate, okay? That's how it works. Absolutely not. Well, we'll ask the question, do you pay cash for your first multifamily? Absolutely not. I will kick you. No, you need debt. Debt's good. Lots of debt. Okay, but you keep certain leverage points. So like we never over leverage. So what most people, when they think about debt, they think it's bad because they're thinking leverage. You don't exceed 65 to 70% leverage ever. Okay, that's where you always keep it. And that way you'll ride through storms, you'll ride through ups and downs, you'll always have great equity, and the thing will always grow. That's how you do it. And you take good debt on good assets that appreciate and are having cash flow, and then you move on. You cash out, you refinance, and you build it. So that's how you create wealth in real estate. Okay, that's how you do it. So finding deals. Question for everybody here. Do you think you should go direct to you're new, right? Put in the mindset. You're new. You've never done it. You have limited time, meaning maybe you have 4 to 6 hours a week to do this because you have a 9 to 5 or some other career that you have to pay bills with, and you got to do that while you get into this. Every one of the people that are in our community have been started with other jobs. Most people 9 to 5 high income earners, right? Maybe business owners, entrepreneurs, maybe flippers and wholesalers that want to level up. They're all in other things, and then they come into this game. Well, they have to spend time, most of their time, doing the other stuff because that's still paying the money. And then they get into this. So limited time. Do you go direct to brokers or direct to sellers to find your first deal? Yeah, the answer is direct to broker. And let me explain why, and then I'll give you a case study for it. So the reason why you go direct to broker, you can go direct to seller, it works. But the amount of time, capital, and time you're gonna have to put into that, the broker is gonna 5X you every day of the week and twice on Sundays, okay? So you be efficient with your time. Your 4 to 6 hours a week that you have to get started and execute this, you go direct to broker. Because the brokers, their teams are calling people like me that own apartment buildings every day of the week, saying, hey, 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 hey. And then they're getting us to raise our hands, okay? And then they'll get the listing. They'll put a little OM, operating memorandum, together. It's like a little marketing piece on the property. And then they're gonna blast it out to their pre-list. We call it the pre-look, first look investor database. It's not even on the websites yet, okay? So go direct to broker. Here's why. It's more efficient. It's faster. You're going to leverage the on-market to get to their off-market, pre-market deals. Let me give you a perfect example of how we got started in the multifamily space. So we couldn't invest in California, too expensive. We were already there, but we need to go out of state to make our dollar go farther. Started looking at different markets, identified Kansas City, Missouri. That was one that we really liked. Well, I didn't know anybody out there. I had never been to that market. I'd never done it before. But I started doing some high-level research on the market, met a broker that happened to live there, set up a date in advance, 3 weeks out, that I was going to go out there for 2-3 days. And I was going to tour the market, drive the neighborhoods, drive the areas, get familiar with it. I knew we were going to invest there. It's just a matter of finding deals for it. I went online to Crexy.com. Crexy.com. You have LoopNet, you have CoStar, right? Plenty of portals. Crexy.com, I think, is the best for what it does. Found 3 properties in Kansas City with 3 different brokers, picked up the phone, dialed for dollars, got a chat with them for a little bit, and let them know that I'm buying in Kansas City. I'm going to be coming out there in about a week or 2. I'd love to tour this property and meet them. All right. And once again, because you're in the smaller space, 10 to 30 units, I'm dealing with more mom and pop brokers who will actually pick up the phone and answer my call. They'll actually meet with me. They'll tour the property with me. That's the whole purpose of why I'm telling you to do it this way. Okay, now if you call up a broker representing a 50, 60, 80 unit deal, first of all, you're not going to talk to them. Secondly, before you can even get through the end zone, they're going to ask you for, a rectal exam. I mean, I'm dead serious. Anybody that's tried it, you know darn well what I'm talking about. So don't do it, right? Save yourself a headache. 10 to 30 units, go into that space. So anyhow, toured the deals, met the brokers. None of those deals made sense because they were on market, okay? The ones on the websites only represent 40% of all the deals, by the way. So everything you're seeing online right now for multifamily only shows 40% of what's actually available. The other 60% is pre-market, okay? It's pre-market. It's pre-market. You're not even seeing it yet because the brokers have them. They're sending them out to their database first, usually a week or 2 in advance, and then they'll put them on the websites if they don't sell. If they don't sell. But a vast majority of the time, they'll sell pre-market, and then they'll go to the websites, okay? So you have to learn that game and know the nuance, what to say, how to say it, have that hand-holding, but that's how you execute, right? Once again, I could tell you this till you're black and blue. That's great, but how you actually implement the knowledge is how you get to the next level, right? How you get to the next level. And if you can do it on your own, by all means, go for it. If you feel you need help, by all means, there's things for that too, okay? So that's finding deals. That's how you're going to start finding deals. Does that make sense? Put a little thumbs up in the chat if that makes sense. How do you get a hold of the pre-market? I think we just answered that. Don't understand leveraging on market to get to the off. I think we answered that. If I did not answer that, please chime in. Okay, so it sounds like you understand that now. Perfect. But that's how you're going to leverage the on market on the websites, because it's telling you who the brokers are, right? Because you're going to go to the websites, it's going to show you the 3 properties, it's going to show you the brokers who are representing them. Their phone number's right there. Dial for dollars and say, hey, John, hey, Joanne, hey, so-and-so, I'm going to be out there in 2 weeks, I'm touring deals, blah, blah, blah. And I'd love to come take a look at this property, ask a few questions. But once again, knowing what to say, how to say it, and getting through that process to make it happen is important, okay? Is important. Your 12-year-old son, you know what's crazy is your 12-year-old son's probably picking up on this faster than you are. I'm dead serious. Because I got a 10-year-old, and I'm shocked at how savvy these kids are. It's wild to me. So anyhow, I love that. So he's going to be a little, you know, mini mega real estate investor by 15. Okay, by 15. Love it. Okay, let's talk about analyzing deals. Remember, step 1's finding, step 2 is analyzing. Okay, simply put, I don't care whether it's a 2-unit deal or it's a 100-unit deal, it's going to follow these metrics. Okay, gross income, gross rents. You're going to take out what's called economic loss, right? You can Google this term, see everything that's included. I'm not going to get into that. Add in other income. Other income. That could be pet rent, parking income, admin fees, late fees, etc. That gets you this thing called effective gross income. This is what's called a profit and loss statement. Okay, profit and loss statement for an apartment complex. Then you're going to take out all your expenses. This could be payroll, this could be property taxes, insurance, repairs and maintenance, property management. There's a litany list of them, okay? Then you're going to get to this beautiful number called a net operating income. That is a very, very powerful number, right? Because unlike residential, right? You go buy a house, how do you value it? You look at other comparable homes in the neighborhood, and you see if your house is nicer or worse than that, and you say my home's worth X. That's what the appraisers do. They use the comparable approach. When you do multifamily commercial properties, they're using the income approach. So they're taking that net operating income number, dividing it by a cap rate, okay, in the marketplace, and that gets you the value of the building, period. There's no emotion in it. It's what do the financials tell me it's worth? That's what it's worth. Up, down, left, or right, okay? Then you can take out your mortgage, and then you get to that beautiful thing called free cash flow, which is what everybody says is mailbox money, and that goes into your pocket. But that is the income statement, profit loss statement for an apartment complex. So what are the 3 metrics? So people ask me, what is a good deal? To the right of the screen is showing you. If you can find a deal that has an IRR of 14 to 20% or more, a cash on cash of 6 to 10% or more, and then what's called an equity multiple of 1.8x or more, that's a great deal. Now you may be saying, what in the world are those terminologies? That is crazy. Yes. So IRR stands for internal rate of return, similar to an annual rate of return. So if you can get 14 to 20% or more per year on your money and your investors' money, good deal. Okay? Cash on cash, COC, cash on cash, meaning if I give you 100 grand, I get 6 to 10% or more on that per year on the money. So if I give you 100 grand, I get 10 grand back. So those are like the metrics, right? If you can have an equity multiple. So what that means is if I give you 100 grand, I'm getting 180 grand or more back, okay? If I give you 100 grand as an investor, I get 180,000, 1.8 or more back, right? So that's what that means. Once again, the deal analyzers calculate all this for you, okay? So raising money, number 3, right? So we found deals. Just shows you how you analyze deals. Granted, we have all the analyzers and all that stuff for you, the tools. Raising money. This is where a lot of people get stuck, right? They can usually find a deal. They can usually analyze it. But then they get to the point of the capital and the structure and raising the money and making it happen. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I can't do it. And they basically shut themselves down. Yeah, I mean, some people need hand holding. Some people can figure it out on their own. It just depends on where you want to go and how bad do you want it, right? You want it a little bit? Or do you really want to make a move this year? Do you really want to make it happen? Because right now, 2025 is a great year to buy commercial real estate, right? Commercial real estate, mainly because there's certain markets that are still challenged due to the high interest rates and stuff, so values are coming down. Remember, this is not an emotional play. It's all based on financials. So if interest rates are high and cap rates are high, values are down, and that's what's happening right now. So it's a great opportunity to come in and sweep sometimes distressed assets, and then you're going to hold on to them and you're going to wait for the upside, which is going to be coming probably next year sometime, 2026. If I'm a betting person, based on the data, absolutely. So raising capital. In order to raise capital, you need a deal that makes financial sense. I just showed you right here, a deal that makes financial sense. So if you can find a deal that fits those metrics, easy to raise money. The money will find you, okay? You need a good pitch deck. All it is a 10 to 30 page document that gives a potential person that's interested in that deal alongside you answers 95% of the questions they have. So that way, if they want to invest, they have maybe 5% of questions left to get on a phone call with you to make sure that you're not a fraud. And then they're like, dude, I love the deal. Deal makes financial sense. Great. Your pitch deck explains everything to you. You got a good pitch deck. Now you need a process when they say, dude, you know, when they say, hey, Kevin, hey, Dennis, right? Hey, who else? Hey, John, hey, Dan, hey, Luis, hey, Ray, Peters, Davey, Frey, when they say, hey, I have 25 grand, I'd love to invest with you. I love the deal. I love the pitch deck. I just need it. You need a process to put the money into the property's bank account. So if you have those three things, raising money is not that difficult. You just need to know the nuance inside of it, okay? Well, how to do it, what to do, and kind of the hand-holding along that process, right? It's one thing to know what to do. It's another thing to actually do it and having that hand-holding, okay? Do you feel like you could benefit from hand-holding into this kind of arena of raising capital? People in here, you think you could benefit from like hand-holding and knowing like the details of how to actually do it? Okay. Yeah, 100%. Trey, awesome. Steve. Yeah, for your first, yeah. Yeah, like I said, the first deal is always the hardest. It's always the hardest. And then you like learn so much, right? If you can just get across the finish line. No different than Brian just did or Steve Parker and these other guys are doing right now. They're getting their deals in, they're making it happen, they're getting across the finish line. Yeah, they're bloody by the end of it, but they're so grateful at the same time because now they own this beautiful asset. Now they've turned into a millionaire by owning it. And now they're going to go do the next one because now they know things not to do, and all the things they learn. So I love it. Okay. So that's kind of the top end ways of raising money. Okay. Now let's break down kind of a typical 10, 30 unit deal. Okay. Let's take let's say this is a 15 unit. Okay. Here you got a photo, 15 unit deal. Price is $1.5 million. That's $100,000 a unit. Pretty common in the Midwest or any parts of the rest of the country outside of the coastal regions. Let's say you're going to renovate that 15 unit, so 200 grand in renovation dollars. CC stands for closing cost. So your total cost of that deal all in at $1,850,000. Okay, you're going to go get a 70% loan on that deal. So let's call that $1,300,000. Now you're left with about $550,000 to raise, right? That's your down payment monies. How do you do that? Okay, how do you do that? And that's the game that everybody gets stopped at because they're not realizing the power of OPM and how to structure the deal. Here's how it gets structured. You're going to bring in about 10% of that money, about 55 grand on this particular deal. That OPM comes from multitude of sources. It can be a private lender. It could be seller financed for you. It could be friends and family. It can be a combination of all the above. Okay, all the above. Now, that 55 grand, here's the cool part. Remember how I said you get paid 5 to 8 ways when you do multifamily? So that's why you do multifamily versus single family and other types of investing. You're getting paid 5 to 8 times over the course of owning the multifamily. Your first one out the gate is called an acquisition fee. So when you put a deal like this together, you as the person putting it together gets an acquisition fee of 2 to 3% of the purchase price. So let's say the purchase price was $1.5 million and you got, let's say 2%. So that's 30 grand. 2% of $1.5 million is 30 grand. So how much did you put in? 25 grand out of pocket, and you have control of a 15 unit $1.5 million apartment deal for $25,000 out of pocket. And we can take it a step farther. I'll show you another one. Okay. And this is not abnormal, okay? We're not gonna get into closing deals tonight. We'd be here for 4 hours. Same thing with management. You wanna hire a third party if you can. You can certainly learn to self-manage, and we teach that, but we recommend third party if you can. And knowing how to hire good ones, we teach. So let's break down, I'm gonna show you structure of a typical deal and how it would actually structure out between you and maybe some investors, okay? You and maybe some investors. Let's take that exact same deal, okay? It's gonna be owned in an LLC. Remember I said you are gonna be bringing in 10% of the money. You are gonna get 30% of the deal for bringing in 10% of the money. You get paid 5 to 8 ways during owning that building. The first one is the acquisition fee coming in the door. Then you get an asset management fee paid to you monthly for managing the managers. Then you get monthly cash flow coming out to you in your pocket. Then you get cash distributions on top of that. Tax benefits, disposition fee when you go sell the thing a few years down the road. You can get paid a finder's fee in the beginning as well. Construction management fee for managing the construction renovations while you're renovating the building. 5 to 8 or more ways. There's plenty of ways you're getting paid throughout the life cycle of the building, okay? That's why it's so awesome. And you're coming out of pocket with 25 grand to do it. So by the time you're said and done, you have no skin in the game per se, but you did come out of pocket to initiate, but that money comes back, okay? Your investors on the other side, they're gonna bring in 90% of the capital. They're gonna get 70% of the deal for that. They're gonna get what's called a preferred return. We're not gonna get into that tonight, but that's how that deal would break down. You'd have somebody for 50 grand, somebody for 75, maybe a $25,000 investor, another 25, and then a $100,000 investor for your capital, and then you. And that money right there makes up your entire capital, what they call capital stack, right? So that 550 that we talked about right here, okay, that 550, it's all right here. Because you actually become an investor in your own deal. So you're getting the benefit of being a limited partner in your own deal or your general partner. It's a great benefit. You get to double dip, as they call it. Answering a couple quick questions. Can the acquisition fee be applied to my down payment at closing? Chris, yes, it can. It can. We don't do it that way. Yeah, I mean, you're doing Peter to pay Paul, right? I mean, it's only out of pocket for like 2 weeks because you go close the escrow, the money goes in. Within a week or so after the close of escrow, that money comes back to you in the partnership. So your money's technically out of pocket, but you're doing that for accounting purposes. And so you can actually tell investors you're putting that money in the deal. Just from a psychological standpoint, it helps raise money, just so you know, okay? So let me give you another case study and we'll finish up with this. And then I'll open it up to questions and some other stuff too, okay? So this is an actual case study of buying a 31 unit deal that I bought in Kansas City, Missouri, okay? $18,000 out of pocket. How did we do it? We bought the deal, 31 units for $1,525,000. We did renovations of about 400 grand, closing costs of 225,000. So we were all in at $2.15 million, okay? Now, we went out and got a loan for $1,500,000. That was easier than getting a house loan, by the way. Keep in mind, financing is easier. They're not looking at you personally. They're looking at the property's financials. If the property's financials can substantiate that loan, you're pretty much getting the loan, okay? It's all about the deal, okay? Don't worry about all the other stuff. That all gets worked through. Then you have the equity, the down payment, 645 grand. Now, if I would have gone into this with a novice mind, I would have said, well, I don't have 645 grand. I don't know how to get 645 grand. I don't know how to do it. I'd create all these limiting beliefs versus realizing this is a good deal. It meets all the metrics. It makes money. It's a good deal. It's going to attract money, right? Great. Put it out there. So I bring in 10%. I brought in 64 grand. We raised 90% of it, right? 581,000 from 7 people, 7 investors. I got an acquisition fee of $45,000 for doing the deal, right? 3%. Now, for that, 45 grand comes back, 64,000 went out, right? Peter to pay Paul, right? So I was actually out of pocket $18,500. And now I had ownership and control of $1,525,000 deal. Now, what did that look like when we were done? Just to kind of show you, 24 months later, we did a cash out refinance because we renovated the building, put the $400,000 of reno in it, renoed the building. So now it was worth more and we had higher rents. So because of the higher rents, the property was worth more. We were able to do a cash out refinance and pay all of our money back and then some. The value of that building after the end of 24 months was $3.6 million. That was a big jump, right? It's normally not that high, but that was a big jump. I was getting paid an asset management fee throughout the life cycle of the deal. 40% of the profits and the cash flow I was also getting, paid out to me. So $2,000 a month for 5 years, that's 120 grand. Then my net profits on the sale of 470,000. So I made 590,000 on $18,000 out of pocket.
Yeah, I had a question. So I have fair credit and I'm not working right now, but I am gonna get a job soon. But with that being said, how would I be able to raise not only my 10%, but the 90%?
Yeah. So you said you have fair credit, but no job?
Correct.
Okay.
It's in
Is
the
your
works.
credit over 600?
It's like 640 right now.
Okay. Yeah, so you're good on the credit. Okay, you're good on the credit. First, so if you have the 10% sitting in the bank account, then you're good. In terms of the job side of it, all that's going to happen is when you go to fill out your loan app, first of all, they're going to look at the property's financials, and they're just going to want some sort of a personal financial statement from you, right? It's not so much cash flow driven as much as liquidity driven. So you have some cash in the bank. If you don't, that's
Well,
okay. You may have to like get a partner to help you out with that money side. Remember when I got started? Zero money. I was getting my butt handed to me. Financial crisis. I was in real estate. I didn't have the $25,000 down payment. I couldn't even sign on the loan. So what did I do? What did I
you
do?
went OPM.
I went and found somebody who could do that, and I partnered with them. Right? I partnered with them because I knew I had the know-how. I had the ability to find the deals, analyze them, put them together, raise the capital, close the escrow, manage the deal. I had a lot of knowledge. I had the sweat equity, and then I let him bring in the check equity, and that's how we did it. So once again, it's never a lack of resources. It's always a lack of resourcefulness. So your credit's good. You can, as long as you get knowledgeable and you know how to execute and you can go do all this stuff, you're very valuable to somebody with money that you may be able to partner with. Okay, you may be able to partner with, and then your guys' partnership can go do this and raise more money. Make sense?
Yes. As far as raising that 10%, you went to like venture venture capital, is that what it's called?
You're
Or
saying
how?
for the down payment monies?
Correct.
No, so we brought in the 10%, right? No
Oh,
different than you would in some way, shape, or form. It's the other 90% of the equity down payment that
no,
you're
yeah.
talking about, right? So that 90% we sent it out to our database, right, of people that we knew. And we were able to get 7 people to say, yes, we're interested because the deal made great sense, right? So some people say, well, I don't have a database. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because people know people that know people. Trust me. What you need is a deal that makes great sense. I can guarantee for all the people on here tonight, okay, if I came to everybody here and I said, I have this deal in Phoenix, Arizona, projected returns of 25% a year on your money, minimum investment's 25,000, okay? And here's the pitch deck that breaks down everything for you about the investment, how much money, when you get it back, projected returns, and it breaks down all the financials. You can review it, and then let's go over some questions. Who do you know that may have some interest in that? And then your response to me is probably going to be, well, I mean, I may know some people. I may be. Great, right? And now I'm going to send it to you. So people know people know people. It's not, the problem is not people wanting to invest in real estate. Everybody does. The problem is, do you have a deal that makes financial sense? Do you have a pitch deck that when they say, hey, you can help explain it to them? And then when they say, hey, I want to give you my money, you have a process to take that in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do know a few people, and I think just presenting it would be a big help, like on how you kind of go about it. That's a part of your
Yeah,
lessons.
100%. That's why you have to learn it and stuff. And we can get into that in just a minute. But yes,
Okay.
100%. That's why learning this process is so critical, because now you're very powerful. When you have knowledge and the ability to execute, you're very valuable to somebody with money. Okay.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, great points though. Love you sharing that though. So yeah, thank you. Is this an example of a JV or syndication? So Dan, you are, anytime you raise money, you're technically syndicating, just FYI, legally, if you talk to an attorney. That's not the term we use. So syndicating, we use, and we go through the legal process of it when we're raising money from people we don't know that well. That's when we syndicate, right? But if we're raising money from people we know really well, we typically will either do a JV or just a normal operating agreement JV type deal. So that's kind of the difference that I would use to distinguish between them. A great point. So question, I mean, everybody kind of put up their hands earlier. I mean, would learning and being inside a community be helpful to like learn all this stuff and know how to do it, what to do it, and go through this A to Z of finding deals, how to analyze them, how to raise capital and structure, how to close escrow on them, how then to hire managers or do the management yourself, depending on what you do? Would that be of use to someone to be a part of that, to be able to execute here in 2025? So 2.5 years ago, we started a community called Multifamily Schooled. And the purpose behind it was really organically because I had people approaching me saying, hey, Justin, we see everything you're doing. We love your style of teaching and coaching and all this stuff, but can you like teach it? Well, at first I was like, I don't know if I have the time. So we started with just putting some courses online that people could take. And that was great. And then the next step was they wanted like mentorship, like handholding, because the information was great, but then not knowing what to do with it or how to actually execute was like, people didn't know how to do that, which I understand. I mean, it can seem complex and far-fetched if you don't actually get handheld through the process to execute. So that's the reason why we did Multifamily School. We created a community, a mentorship community that people can come into and collaborate and do deals together. And then when they do, say, a 10 to 30 unit deal, then they obviously naturally want to go bigger. Well, most people that go bigger, you need co-partnerships. So that even allows us to partner with our people in the community and community members to partner with other people in the community. Like that's what it's all about. And so that's why this was created, just so you understand, like the big picture behind it. So we have the mentorship, it is there. Let me share kind of what's in it, just so you understand. And then if you have other interests, what we're going to do after this is for everybody that has interest, I'm going to open up a breakout room. And we'll do it in a few minutes and stuff, but everybody can jump in there. Everybody to put their name and phone number and email. You can jump into that breakout room. We'll answer a bunch of questions. I'll be in there and we'll do a little more Q&A and answer questions specifically about the mentorship community and see if it's a good fit for you. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. It's not for everybody, but see if it's a good fit for you, okay? This is literally everything that gets included in the community for people to come in. You're gonna get a weekly mentorship Zoom call with me, right? We're not doing hired coaches. I'm not handing you off to like a student who did one deal and all of a sudden they want to coach everybody. That doesn't work, especially not in multifamily. There's a lot of nuance and you need to be taught and handheld by people that are in the space doing it every day to walk you through the bullshit. Excuse my language, but that's the reality of it. So with me every week in mentorship Zoom calls, you're also going to get assigned a personal success coach. That's the accountability side of it. Are you going through the stuff and are you following suit? You know, we say that motivation's great, but discipline's even better. And I would even take that a step farther and say that consistent discipline is the best, right? It's one thing to do discipline for a day or a week. It's another thing to do it for a month or a year. That's where it's hard. So you're going to have that accountability coach. Then you're going to join an active community. Right now we have 4,300 people in the active overall community, and then we have the active mentees. That's a private community as well. You get access to both of those. You'll get a 90-day action guide. You'll get my masterclass of 10 lessons that literally goes through in great detail everything we went through tonight, but to the tenfold, and gives you all the systems and tools for it, okay? You get access to our document library that gives you every tool, resource, contracts, and deal analyzers. Everything you need to buy an apartment complex is in this deal vault, basically a document vault that holds everything for you, okay? Opportunities to partner with us on deals. I said that a minute ago. So once you come in, by nature, this is like the progress that people go through. They get their first 10 to 30 unit deal. Then they get their second 10 to 30 unit deal. By natural, they want to go up. So then they go, I want to do a 50 unit now. Well, usually they can't do that alone. Or they want to do an 80 unit. They usually can't do that alone. So usually they're coming into the community for co-partnerships. That's where we can join you as well, okay? So we're assisting you in finding the deals, analyzing the deals, helping you finance and structure. And we give you all the lenders in the back end and the capital partners. We provide vendors and systems in the back end to where you can submit your deals directly to them and they can help underwrite and provide the financing and capital, okay? All in the back end of the system. And we have a team assisting in the closing process, holding your hand, looking at the documents, the inspection reports, all the stuff that you're going to go through in closing, we help assist you with, okay? And then the management. How do you hire the managers? How would you actually do it yourself? You can do both. It's up to you, but we show you both. And then more importantly, the tax hacks, you're gonna get that capital kit. And then our bonus 2 live tickets to our live events that we're throwing this year. So you're gonna get access to that and the VIP tickets for that. Keep in mind, this is all about creating a community of well-trained investors around the country who are collaborating and doing deals together. Like that is the big vision behind it. It's not about selling courses and mentorships and stuff all the time. You need to be well-trained. That's part of it. Because you need to have either what? Sweat equity or the check equity. So if you don't have a lot of check equity right now, then you better get some sweat. So that way you're very valuable to people with money. It's a skill set. It's a skill set. Hope that makes sense. Perfect. So I'm going through the chat real quick so I can finish up. So I finish up some Q&A here. Great, Trey. Yeah, I'm actually a licensed general contractor too. Licensed real estate broker as well. I only use our GC license for our own stuff. I'd say the best part of having a GC license is being able to call out all the subcontractors' bullshit, which I'm sure you'd appreciate because there's a lot of it. And if they try and overcharge you or tell you it's this or that or up, down, left, right, you can say, yeah, I don't think so. That's the best part about it.